Hello, my name is Sarah Cannon, and today I will be interviewing Kathy Scott.
I grew up on the East Coast, actually. I grew up on Long Island and was really kind of my whole world was the East Coast. And then I went to college in Texas, went to Rice for 5 years. And moving west was like a big deal, a big eye opener for me about just like how different and rich and diverse the world is. And then I further moved west to California, and I'll just say, like, I've never take California for granted. And I think living in such a stunningly beautiful place, just it's such an inspiration. Like at this point, we're doing work in places like Hawaii, which is amazing. And then also, Colorado and Montana and Wyoming and, Northern California, you name it. These landscapes are so powerful and, just so dramatic and just inspire so much. I feel like that has been a major impact on my life. I go back east and I still appreciate it, but it just doesn't have the power of the West in terms of its landscape. I think coming out here was a really big deal. When I was in high school, I had an inkling about architecture because of the math, the science, and the art, and just being like this kind of the right ingredients. But my mom was the practical one, and she's like, I don't want you to apply to architecture school and go and then discover you don't love it. So she sent me to the summer program at Cornell. It was a 6-week program for kids still in high school, kind of a discovery thing. And they just like completely immersed us in it from like the first day, we're like, doing these little sketch problems and building little models to like designing a whole house in 6 weeks. I think like before I was even old enough to think about having a job per se, like I'd already totally gotten sucked into like architecture seems amazing. Respect, I feel like is a major, major thing. For me personally, meaning that I feel like everybody that we work with is so talented, comes with so many different perspectives that are so valuable. And even if we're all coming at things from different angles, having that collaboration and being able to pull from everybody and get everyone's like energy into something is so great. So I feel like treating people with, utmost respect, no matter whether it's, your client or, the guy who's cleaning the job site, and everybody in between. Like there's just an amazing group of folks who are all working together. And then respect also comes from like respecting the land and respecting the place, where we're building. So like really not doing something that feels like a foreign, UFO dropping out of the sky onto a site, but like feeling like something that's really like, situated and integrated into the land and feels like it just has always been there and has always belonged there. Super respectful of the place. I would say it starts from absolutely from the land, like so when we start a new project, like I just was interviewing for a new project recently with a client. It's like before I even talk to her, I want to know the place and the property. Getting out there and walking the land and seeing what the potential of it is, because you would never do the same design on every property, right? Everything has to be so site specific. So knowing the place and then knowing the clients, gathering everything you want to know about this project, and then coming through to like a conception of what the conceptual design is. And it can be everything from just initial, again, understanding the property, but visioning imagery, like just starting to kick around like what could this place be. The imagery helps just like spurring thoughts. I find like we'll do that image gathering early in the project in the first couple months, and we'll refer back to it like over and over again through the course of the project because it's like a touchstone of like, what were some of these big ideas that we're trying to hit. I think one of the biggest things I've done, I have two more or less grown kids at this point. They're 19 and 22, so don't have to worry about them so much anymore. but, but back when they were in school, they were at a K through 8 arts integrated school. And so at that time, I did a ton of work, not just with them, but with the school in general, like basically teaching design to kids. And it was a very diverse population in the school. And my feeling was this could be great for a bazillion reasons. It could be that you inspire a kid to want to be an architect, or you could just have kids grow up to think more about their built environment, and or they might, value, the places that they're in more, or see the potential in things. We have a million collaborators because, again, we have clients with resources and they, the expectations are high. So we have everybody from our really key design partners, which are usually the interior designer and the landscape architect. So those two companies of folks are like so important to, like, we're all kind of feeding into each other in terms of how you put together the landscape, the architecture, and the interior furnishings, like, so that it's one unified whole. One of the key buildings that really inspired me early on was when I was in Houston. There was a Renzo piano building there, the Menil collection, and it was such a modest, quiet building, and yet it was so powerful. And that to me, like, spoke volumes. It was like basically what he did is he worked again with a fabricator, and they came up with these crazy, like, these basically the whole roof is glass, and they're bringing light in, but they're trying to protect all this amazing art below. And so what they wanted to do was bounce the light like 4 or 5 times before it gets into the space, so that, it's diffused and it's not damaging. And the quality of the light once they'd done this, of course, was just like magical. It felt like a monastery or something. I think, I mean, I'll just say recently it feels like, we our job is to make things, and making has become harder, due to, material shortages, shipping challenges. I mean, when we're doing work in Hawaii, of course, everything has to be shipped there, and shipping has been a really, really challenging thing, over the last couple of years. So it's just sometimes it's like these forces outside of ourselves. I mean, costs have been escalating on our projects, and even though these clients have resources, it's like at some point people might just be like, forget it. This is ridiculous. I don't want to spend this much. So we're always, even if we have, the access to do really great stuff, we have to still be always mindful of, like, keeping things within balance. Just ask so many questions, like, always ask questions. Like, I think anyone who wants to learn stuff, you cannot have, a pride or ego, or worry that someone thinks like, oh my gosh, you don't know that. I mean, how is anyone going to know everything? You have to be really open and make sure to just continue to ask those questions, because that is how you learn.